Hello there and welcome to my boat shed. My name is Panu and I'm building this 15-meter or 50-foot liveaboard cruising sailboat here in Finland. In previous video, which I released yesterday, we did this front section here, and this is the front locker that will be just a storage compartment. We did fiberglassing over there, and now it's fully cured. I already took off the peel ply on this bulkhead. It looks pretty okay. There is a few minor air bubbles there, but there is one issue that I can already see, that we need to kind of redo these joints down there, because there was a little bit of a bigger gap in there and the fillet didn't go actually too well in there. So I probably need to kind of sand this over and make all those two places again, but that's okay. I can do it at the same time when we do the rest of this bottom piece right here. So that's gonna wait a little bit. But in this video, we're gonna start doing the final structural thing to the boat before we start the planking, and that is the actual keel timber. And this boat is a little bit special because we actually have 3 keel timbers. I've been naming them as ballast keel timbers and the actual keel timber. And the ballast keel timbers are already done. They are over there and they are glued in and they are shaped mostly on their final shape. But the actual keel timber is the center kind of beam on the boat that goes here in the stem from right here all the way across to the stern. And it will kind of bind all the frames together and make sure that the center line is straight. So you can tell that it's actually a pretty significant part of the structure of the whole thing. But before we actually can start putting the keel timber in, we need to do a couple of small things. First of all, we need to put the rest of these temporary frames in. There are still 2 missing, one from here and one over there on the front. And you can see that there is this slot for the keel timber to go into, and that's why we need to put these first before we can put the keel timber in. And the second thing is actual material itself. So this pile of material here has been lying for a year and a few months, and I was quite optimistic back then that we should be able to start putting the keel timber in very soon, but what do you know? But it is here and it is already milled into proper thickness, but we need to plane all of these and cut them in right width. So tomorrow Kimmo, my friend, is coming to help me and we're gonna mill this material. And then we're also gonna need to put scarf joints in them and measure everything that it fits. So we're gonna do this first, maybe do a complete dry fit of the actual keel timber all together so that we're 100% sure that everything goes well when we start gluing, because when the glue is mixed, there is really no way to go back. So yeah, this is actually the thing that we are gonna do in this video. Not sure if we're gonna get into gluing just yet, but we'll see about that a little bit later. And as you can see, the space here in the middle is free. I dismantled the kitchen, it's waiting in the pile over there. And next week we're gonna sand the floor on our apartment, and then we can transfer the kitchen there and start putting it up piece by piece. So it's going on the side here, but as for today, I'm gonna just prepare things for tomorrow. We're gonna open this door again after a few months, and we're gonna take the boogeyman, the big planer, which is super dangerous and old, and we're gonna fire that up tomorrow and do the milling. So I think the jammering is enough for now. Let's just jump into making this keel timber. Before we start, I think now we're gonna appreciate a little bit of this thing. It's not mine, I have it around here to use for free because it is obviously super unsafe and there is no safety things whatsoever with this thing. And I've been using this for a few years now, and yeah, it has been working well. A couple of issues here and there, but now everything is kind of oiled again, and it should work. I used some candle on the table down there, and it should be now slippery so that everything goes through like nothing. What I want to mention is that this machine is actually multi-tool, so in addition just the jointer and planer, very big one of course, there is actually these kind of things that came with the machine, and these are super dangerous and big router bits. So I'm not sure if you call them bits, it's like a blade. But especially this one is very interesting because it is a finger joint blade, and I'm thinking of using this machine to make finger joints for the strip planking for the boat. Obviously, one thing is that even looking at this thing makes my fingers want to detach from my body. So it is going to be super dangerous. This machine is old, and yeah, you really have to be careful with this. For example, this axle is rotating freely whenever the machine is on, and there is just this professional cover to not to get your clothes kind of attaching to that when it's rotating. In addition for those, there is also a circular saw. You can put additional table here, and there is a placement for that saw blade here. There is a drill, kind of a horizontal drill, and there is actually a machine to sharpen these blades for the planer as well. But this is the main thing I'm interested in, and yeah, these are pretty scary. So here we have the material for the keel timber. It's now all planed and cut in size, so it should fit in there. We actually needed to go and grab a few more boards to be able to get the whole thickness. There was just not slightly enough in that pile. But yeah, it's now all here, and actually a couple of those are already there. Let's go and check that in a while. But what we still need to do with these is to make the scarf joints. Of course, we need to dry fit everything to be sure that everything fits before we start gluing it up. And yeah, and a huge thanks to Kimmo again for giving me a hand with this. And yeah, it went very smoothly, and we have a blast of a day planing this stuff. But yeah, let's check that now. So we pulled one sheet of boards here, and you can see that it fits there quite nicely. One board over there, and it should be pretty straight, and all this board should kind of align the whole keel timber on its place and kind of align also these temporary frames on their places. So what I still need to do with here is to trim these a little bit in here. It doesn't go all the way down properly, so there's a little bit of a bump there on the side, I think, and probably same thing there in the middle. So I need to first kind of dry fit this first layer and go through that so that everything fits, and then we can start making the scarf joints. And the plan, of course, is that no joint is on the same place, any of the layers. So yeah, I think I'm gonna start here in the front. You can see that we have these slots here. The first layer is coming in here, second here, and the final layers in here. So there's probably 3 or 4 layers in this section. And I think we're gonna actually laminate them in these sections if possible, so that when we start with the next one here, I can plane or sand this properly so that the joint kind of goes there smoothly. And if we go back here, there is actually a slot already here. I made that last fall at some point. That slot should accept the end of the keel timber. So as you can see, it's kind of tight fit on the front and the back, so the length of the timber pieces should be quite accurate. So yeah, let me now grab my multi-tool and I go and start trimming that so that we can start fitting the first layer in. Making a scarf joint is the proper way to extend boards like this, and I want this beam to be as structurally sound as possible. I have this CNC made scarf joint jig you have been seeing me using before, and I just laid down the long boards to some sawhorses, and yeah, it went pretty well there. And just like that, the first layer of the keel timber is ready to go. It has now these scarf joints. It consists of 2 of these very long boards and then a little bit of an extension, like a 50 centimeter or something like that, there in the front, plus the scarf joint. And yeah, about the structure a little bit, there's gonna be 10 or 11 layers of this wood on the keel timber. And the first 2 layers are gonna be just like this, like a similar boards, but I'm gonna actually put a couple of layers of grain in opposite direction like this. So there's a few boards that are very thin. I'm gonna use them and chop them in short pieces and put them against the grain there, just to prevent this from splitting over time, because yeah, this is spruce and it's not like a hardwood or anything like that, so just in case. I'm sure it's an overkill because wood epoxy structure in general kind of prevents any defects for affecting that much because there are so many layers and so forth. But yeah, this looks good, and it's not really that big of a job to do those scarf joints because the boards are so long, there's not many joints. I was gonna sand these surfaces like we did with the side beams, but the reason would be that the surface is too shiny from the planer to accept the epoxy well, but all the frames have been done with just plain surfaces and the glue just attached to this wood very well. So yeah, I think I'm gonna skip that. Right, now I have prepared a few layers of the keel timber. There's the scarf joints in them, and now 2 layers is already lifted up there. I made some additional steps here in the hull so I can access this area. And yeah, now I'm gluing the first 2 layers in. And the first layer, of course, is the hardest one. I need to spread glue all of the frames and also the mast step areas. There's a long stretch of wood there. You need to glue in that, of course, and that involves quite a lot of thickened epoxy. Additional layers, the second and all the rest, there should be pretty straightforward, just spreading glue on all of that and just pushing them in there. So that should be pretty easy to do afterwards, especially when we're having the gravity on our side this time compared to the side beams here where it was a little bit difficult. I'm still gonna use screws to clamp them together to get a good squeeze out from there, and yeah, I think that's pretty much it. It's just a little bit of a big job. Of course, it's like 30 meters or something, the overall length of this keel timber. And just a note, this couple of weeks has been super busy with online work and with the kitchen project. It has been going forward here on the side. Yeah, I haven't really able to do as much as I would have liked for this, but this obviously is one of the big jobs again, and I'm just gonna put some time lapses on right here, and we'll see in next video how it turns out, and hopefully do some additional layers for the keel timber. And hopefully we can get into finishing all this stuff below here so that we can start the planking very soon. So fingers crossed for that. And that note, I'm gonna end this video after the time lapse, of course. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for following my journey. And super big thanks for my patrons. You really make this possible. We'll see you in the next video, hopefully very soon, to see how this keel timber turns out. Bye bye.